One of the biggest challenges I face as a manager is having to deal with employees who no call, no show. A no call, no show is when an employee doesn't show up for a scheduled shift and they didn't let me know that they weren't showing up. There was no text, no call, no email, no nothing. I just literally don't know until I walk in the door who's showing up and who's not showing up. And as you can imagine, this creates a huge problem as a manager because without knowing how many people are showing up or who's showing up or who isn't showing up, I'm always behind the eight ball. I'm always trying to figure out what to do. And it's always 20, 30 minutes, an hour after the shift starts. And by the way, I work in senior care, which means that people are waiting. People can't get up by themselves. They can't use the bathroom by themselves. They can't feed by themselves. And so no call, no show makes it even more difficult, not just on me, but also on my residents. And so I needed to figure out how to stop no call, no shows, how to end it. I want to end it forever. I don't want no call, no shows anymore. It makes zero sense to me. So as I start thinking about it and I'm starting to ask questions and I'm starting to reflect internally about my own practices, I realize that I'm the problem. The reason that there's no call, no shows is because I'm a challenge to talk to when an employee is calling about how they are not coming in today. For whatever reason, they're not coming in because their car's not working, they don't have a babysitter, they don't feel well, whatever. If they were calling me and I get them on the phone, I become a detective. I become all of a sudden like I'm in charge of their life. Like, well, did you try this? And did you try that? Or did you try this person? And why am I hearing about this today? And why didn't you figure this out over the weekend? Like, these words are coming out of my mouth over to a complete stranger, by the way. Just because they work for me, they're a complete stranger. And here I am with the gall of thinking like I have all their answers, like I can solve their life, like I'm their personal life coach. And by the way, I'm not, right? I'm just their manager. I'm just their boss. I'm just somebody they work for. And so calling me was super challenging for them, and I recognize that. And so I wish I could say that I have this, I found the magic formula to get people to stop calling in. I don't have that ability. But I have solved almost nearly, I still get some no call, no shows, but I have solved for the most part the no call part on a no show. Because listen, my staff are already not going to come in. They're already, if they're calling out, they're calling out. If they're not coming in without calling out, they're still not coming in. It's the no call part that really, really puts me as the manager way behind the eight ball. I need to know if you're not coming in. And so, in order to get my staff to notify me, I had to have a sit-down conversation with everybody first and foremost and apologize, because I recognize that if you were to call me with an issue like, hey, I can't come in today for whatever reason, I recognize that I was less than helpful. Like I was really more concerned with how I can make you come into the building rather than letting you call out. And full transparency, I have about a 0 hit batting ratio here. I've never been able to convince anybody. I've made them feel bad. I've made them not want to work for me. I've made them, use the alternative of, rather than call in, I'd rather take my chances and no call, no show and show up the next day, and hopefully somebody else no call, no showed, and so Ralph's not going to say anything. Which, by the way, is a pretty good gamble, because even though I want to be mad and angry and say, what do you no call, no show, then you can't work for me anymore. Truth is, when you show up the next day and somebody else has already no call, no show, I'm happy to see you. So it puts me between a rock and a hard place as a manager. And so with that in mind, set down all my employees and I said, all right, so my bad on that. But going forward, I really, really, really need to know. And so here's my promise. Here's my guarantee. First and foremost, text seems to be what everybody wants to use, so I'm going to embrace it. So please text me if you are not coming in. And you're simply going to say, hey, Ralph, this is whoever. I'm not making it in today. You don't have to give me excuses. You don't have to tell me why. You don't have to run down your life story. Nothing. And you're going to get one single response from me every time. And the response is, thank you for letting me know. That's the response. It's always going to be my response because I truly am thankful. Because I would truly much rather you tell me you're not coming in than to no call, no show on me. I'd much rather have the ability to proactively try to solve this issue rather than have to react to a problem that already is being over-exacerbated because I didn't know. Now, I know that this is counterintuitive. I know that you're thinking perhaps what I was thinking. And what I was thinking was I never want to make it easy for my employees to call out. I want it to be such a pain in the butt that they just, instead of having to deal with me, the bear, they'll come into work. Well, guess what? It doesn't work. As much as I thought by me being the aggressor, by me being difficult to talk to, being difficult for people to call in on, that it would reduce the amount of call-ins. Well, guess what, honey? It ain't happening. Instead, I get more call-outs, except it's not a call-out, it's a no-call, no-show. So it literally just made it worse for me. So going forward, I'm simply going to say, thank you for letting me know. And by the way, I send it to all my staff, and then we put it in our orientation for people who are going through our general orientation. We're like, hey, when you need, if there's a chance where you have any kind of an issue, you can't come into work, just text us. This is the response you're going to get from any manager in the building. They're all going to respond the same way. Thank you for letting me know. Then, later on in the afternoon, later on in the day, later on in the evening, whenever, not right then, later on, I'm going to ask my managers to text all employees who texted them saying they were going to call out, and you're going to say, hi, whatever your name is, just checking on you. Or I was thinking about you, or I hope you're doing well, or if you need anything, let me know. See, that's appropriate. That's building rapport. That's building relationship with your employees. That's letting them know that you are there and that you do care. And then if you do want to further investigate and brainstorm with them, going, hey, what happened? Because if maybe I can know somebody who can help in some way. That's a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation while you're building relationships with the employee when they come into work at that next shift or the 2 shifts after that. It's never too late to have a conversation with checking in with your employees to make sure that they have everything they need so that they can get to work. But when they're calling out, it's thank you for letting me know, and we have literally almost eliminated the no-call, no-show. When people feel comfortable letting you know they're not coming into work and knowing that you're not going to beat them up and hammer them and ask them 50 million questions that are none of your business, they're more comfortable with going, just want to give you a heads up, can't make it in today. Like, great. Like, I have to start addressing my employees like the adults that they are. Like, if my employee is calling out, they can't come to work, I just have to assume that they have done everything that they can, and despite all of their efforts, they still can't make it in. What I used to think is they're just lazy SOBs who just doesn't want to come into work, and everybody's looking for any excuse. I can think either one of those, because either one can be true, but I don't know the truth. All I know is all I can control is what I think, and I much rather think that all my employees are adults, and if they're calling in, it's because they truly can't make it to work for whatever reason. And so my response, thank you for letting me know. If you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're interested in working with me and developing your leadership skills, go to seniorcareleadershipacademy.com. It is the #1 place for senior care leaders to get together in all levels and all departments, get together and solve real problems. My name is Ralph Peterson. I'll see you later.